Today we're going to be talking about 6 things that you should do before you start looking for a home in Florida. And I am joined today by Matthew Martin from Dale Sorensen Real Estate. I'm excited to have Matthew specifically for this topic because of his vast background in editing, producing, marketing, and being a new agent and a new resident of Brevard County. So thank you so much for joining us today, Matthew. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to Brevard County.
I'm from Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky can get gray and gloomy during the wintertime. We would come visit Florida as much as possible, had seen a lot of the state, and visited Brevard County, and we were like, hey, this feels like home for us, and made the move in late 2020.
Being a new resident to Brevard County yourself and your experience, before someone starts looking for a home, how clear should they be about when they actually want to move or make the move?
Sure, yeah. So I have a great example of a client that I'm working with now. He reached out to me, his friend that I'd met through a hobby, but he reached out to me earlier in the year and was like, hey, it's probably going to be the back half of the year before we're ready to do something. They have, one, he worked for SpaceX, so he knew things were going to change for him midway through the year. His wife's graduating college, but we started looking somewhat straight away and just getting a sense of the market, but also trying to educate him along the way that, hey, there's going to be some significant changes throughout the year, so things that are priced at one number in February may be very different in October when you're ready to buy. Just trying to educate along the way and build the relationship along the way. I was able to get him plugged in with the lender along the way. So just kind of taking those natural steps organically, to get him ready.
With that being said, what would you say to somebody that's maybe 3 months out from making a purchase versus somebody like that's 9 to 12 months out?
Sure, yeah. Pre-approval right away. 3 months, though, we're starting to look hot and heavy for sure. Making sure financially that they're putting themselves in position to be able to make the purchase. I would also say, I'm probably going to step on some of these other questions, but just starting to look at the areas that you want to be in more intently of, how does this really feel, and progressing from there.
Yeah. Now, if you had a buyer that came to you that maybe didn't have a date in mind, maybe it was more of a want to move versus a need to move,
Sure.
What would you suggest for that person?
Yeah, one, I'd say let's go. But secondly, so if we're looking at it as a want and not necessarily a need, it's, let's just start shopping around a bit. Let's look in different areas all over Brevard because, Brevard is very different from top to bottom. Been fortunate to have transactions top to bottom. I mean, it's very different. So I think it's exploring that and taking a day date and going and spending the day in Melbourne Beach. Okay, this is wonderful. Can we afford to be here? And then taking a day date to Titusville, and very different, very, very different, but equally, they both equally have great things depending on what you're looking for. So I would start doing that initially on the want side. Need side, I would say, okay, if we need to move here and we're moving here specifically for work or something like that, let's start thinking about where do we need to be in proximity to getting to work? But then also, for me, I like the convenience of being close to things. Having come from Kentucky and at one point living way out in the sticks, 30 minutes from anything.
And having kids, too.
And having kids, exactly. I know I don't want that anymore. I want to be close to things and the conveniences. So needs-based, again, I think it's starting to explore that and really honing in on what you're really looking for.
I love that, especially if it's a want versus a need, kind of painting the picture for them and showing them, this is what it's like to live in Titusville or this is what it's like to live in Melbourne Beach. So
That's
then
right.
They can kind of visualize themselves in that setting because you're right. It is drastically different from one side of the county to the next. Let's dive into a little bit of understanding what people can comfortably handle. Before choosing a price range specifically, what should buyers think about in terms of lifestyle that they want after they purchase?
Lifestyle in obviously Viera is going to be different than other parts of the county. Just making sure that, yes, I do want that, but can I really afford that? HOAs, things like that come along with being in a certain area. Can we really afford this long term? And trying to factor that in.
Sure.
And for myself, I'm trying to advise my clients along the way of insurance cost, HOA cost, where the schools rank, things like that of, just like this is what it's really going to look like, when you do move here, and choosing not solely based on that, but making sure we factor those things in.
So true. That
Yeah.
commute makes a big difference. Are you going
Right.
to be driving 20 minutes in traffic, or are you going to be taking your golf cart
Right.
just down the street? It
Right.
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So what ownership expenses do buyers sometimes overlook?
Sure. Using myself as an example, moving to Merritt Island when we first moved here, we thought coming from Kentucky, we're buying a much smaller home. Yeah, it's cost about the same, but we were not factoring in insurance cost. Coming from the Midwest, insurance was just an afterthought almost of just like, you just chose your buddy's dad to go get your insurance, and it just was what it was. Whereas here, after that first year and my insurance doubled, it was a rude awakening, and then making changes to our home to save money. I call that Florida math.
Yes.
Spend $5,000 to save $500. So things like that, and then things now that I can share with my clients firsthand of just being beachfront is awesome, but it comes with a cost, and so. And then, again, proximity to things. Obviously Vieira is where it's happening right now, and if that means a lot to you, then you might not want to be in Melbourne Beach or somewhere else. So, yeah.
I love what you said about the Florida math. That is a real thing.
Yeah.
I think Florida math means start with insurance in mind at first. We
Yeah.
always say bind insurance as quickly as
Yes.
possible. That way you know exactly what to expect.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of finances and organizing your documents, what should a buyer begin organizing before they get ready to start making an offer?
Well, yeah, definitely pre-approval before we're even looking at anything. But then, if you're looking in a certain price range, we're going to put a minimum of 1% down for the transaction. So you're going to can we even do that? So I'm definitely going to advise and talk you through that. But then, even along the way, I'll be preaching to you to not make any crazy purchases. And
We will be preaching that to you as well.
Mary will be preaching that to as well. Yes. It's just advising and just like, hey, let's make sure that you're in a place, and even the moving expenses and things like that, yes, I get that we're trying to go all in on this home, but there's going to be back-end costs, that come along with this of getting everything together.
That's a great point. What other incidentals or purchases or things do you think that people should prepare for outside of just the home purchase itself? You mentioned the movers.
Yeah, movers, new furniture, or potentially repainting the walls, cleaning the home. Yes, you just bought a swimming pool, but it needs some upgrade. So it's some of the back end things that you can get wrapped up into the purchase, but it's and I try to make a point of just having a bullet point of like, hey, now you're in, but we still have these things. Yeah, we got a great price on the home, but we knew that we had these expenses, coming. So making sure that you have savings and things in place to address those.
Certainly. I had that experience as well when purchasing a home. I was so excited to get a pool. It was an older home. And then within the first 6 months, we go, okay, we've got the pool light that we needed to have replaced. We
Yeah.
had the pool filter that went out shortly
Right.
afterwards. So all those little things add up to big things.
Definitely. Yeah, I bought a new AC, 6 months into our home. And, we were fortunate that it didn't hurt us too bad, but you need to be prepared for those things.
So let's define needs versus wants when it comes to buyers. How should buyers decide what they truly need before they start looking for a home?
Here recently, I have worked with 3 different school teachers, and this must be a thing, but they all needed a tub. And and we ended up looking at homes without a tub, that they had sent me to go look at. But to them, that was a need.
As a school teacher, they need the zen at the end of the
That's
day.
a thing.
I believe it.
That is a thing. And so initially with the first school teacher, I'm like, okay. And then number 2 and 3 when they're all saying we need a tub, I'm like, okay, this must really be a thing. Yes, needs versus wants. The needs being we need 4 bedrooms because we have 3 children and we really want them to have their own bedrooms. We need to be closer to our schools so we can get them to school, to and from. I need to be within 25 minutes of work. I have a client that works at the hospital. She has to be within a zone to get there. So those are needs. Wants, obviously that's always the challenge, as the realtor of like, hey, I think this home checks every box for you. I think we should go look at it. No, it doesn't have the exact color backsplash that you're wanting. So, trying to navigate through that, and obviously the buyers pick what they want, My friends are like, don't you sell houses? I'm like, no, I advise clients on making a smart decision on purchasing a home that they want.
That's the
I'm
truth.
not selling them anything. So that's where the wants is, trying to navigate that versus, hey, this meets every need that you really need, and going from there.
Yeah, focusing on those needs and those non-negotiables, and then sprinkling in the wants
That's right.
on the top
Yeah,
of it.
sprinkling in a tub if you're a teacher.
Yes. This one reminds me a little bit of your personal story, but when should someone compromise on size, location, or age of home or condition of home?
So yeah, coming from Kentucky, we were very blessed to have a very nice home there. And then, we were watching those downsize homes. What was the series where it was everyone was throwing everything out and like simplifying their life and all. We were definitely going through that. We also, when we moved here, we're traveling in an old Airstream that I'd remodeled. So honestly, at that point, anything seemed like a lot of square footage compared to 150 square feet for 3 people. But for us, it was compromising in, hey, how close do we want to be to the beach or to water? And so, Merritt Island for us checked all of those boxes. Proximity to things to do, again, to Cocoa Beach. The trade-off was definitely worth it.
Definitely.
For me.
Yeah.
My wife's ready to move. So, any realtors out there that want to work with my wife, good luck.
That's fantastic. What should people that are relocating or buyers understand about Florida that they may not have considered before coming here?
Everyone talks about the heat and things like that. That's one thing to consider if you're from, I guess, above anywhere in the Midwest. I just was in Indianapolis over the weekend. It was hot there. So, that's not a deterrent for me in any way. It gets hot anywhere in the summer. But again, just figuring in lifestyle change. People move at a different pace here than in other places. And even being from the Midwest, people move slower here, and that's what I've loved about it is just a different vibe, But you have to be prepared for that. Yeah. And then back up to real estate, the cost of things and insurance, things like that. And then for me, living in Merritt Island, Mexican cost us 3 times what it used to cost us back home, So that's an adjustment, It's good, but it's going to cost more.
Yeah.
Where I live closer to the cruise port, we get those cruise port prices sometimes. But we get to see the boats and other things. So it's the trade-off,
There's always a trade-off,
right,
for sure.
Right.
Like those people that are coming from Kentucky or Midwest, you're getting rid of the snow, but you definitely
That's
are
right.
getting the heat of Florida. That's
Yeah.
for sure. So let's talk a little bit about building your team before you decide to buy. Who should buyers have in their corner before they become serious about looking for a property?
I would start first with myself, a realtor, and getting the search started, and then from there, I'm going to start advising and helping you with. Let's start talking about lending. What's your situation look like, whether you need a lender or not. Let's get you plugged in. Let's get you pre-approved, and then let's start the search for the different areas. What feels right. Then from there, let's hone it in on we specifically want to be in VR East. And let's start, really honing that in. What's that really look like? What are the differences in the HOAs? Definitely getting you plugged in with a lender, but then you had mentioned a moment ago, insurance cost, the difference from mainland versus Merritt Island versus Cocoa Beach are different, so how's that feel, in those costs? And then, really going from there and starting to put in some offers.
Yeah. What tends to go wrong when buyers build the team after they find the house? Do you have any of those clients that go shopping, find the house, and then give you a call?
Yeah, definitely. We found this place. We've got to have it. And, my initial reaction is, oh, great. Like, you found it. Awesome. But once you get into that, you realize, okay, we're on our heels, essentially, at that point. They want to put the offer in that day and have not even spoken with the lender. That's a problem. How is this really going to happen?
How are we going to pay for this?
Exactly. For me, I want to keep that excitement up. Like, great, I want you to be excited about this, but realistically, we have to take some steps to get here, and also, once we've taken those steps, can you afford that? So, again, want to keep the excitement up. That's great. You found your place, but obviously, we have to put the team together to achieve that goal.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you shedding some light, especially being someone newer to the area, on things that you need to look for before moving or before starting to look for a home in Florida. So we appreciate you sharing with us. And if you found some of this helpful on this podcast, share it with somebody that you know that's planning on moving to Florida. We'll see you next time.